In this video, I take you on a journey through the intricate and satisfying process of restoring a classic Jeep Willys from 1960. This mini Jeep, though compact in size, is packed with character and history. Powered by a 150cc engine and equipped with a 3-speed transmission along with a reverse gear, it stands as a reminder of an era gone by. However, time had not been kind to it. Years of exposure to the elements had left the body rusted, the chassis weak, and the engine in desperate need of attention. But with dedication, precision, and a love for mechanical restoration, I set out to give this forgotten gem a brand new life. Restoring a vintage vehicle is not just about fixing what's broken, it's about respecting history, preserving craftsmanship, and bringing new life to a machine that once held pride of place on dusty roads and rugged trails. The 1960 Willys has a heritage rooted in resilience and utility, originally designed as a military workhorse, then adapted into civilian life where it became a favorite for off-road enthusiasts. My goal with this project was to maintain that rugged spirit while breathing fresh energy into its core. The first step in the renovation process was evaluation. Every part of the Jeep needed to be assessed for wear and damage. The body had numerous rust patches, the paint was flaking, and the engine had not been turned on in years. Even though this Jeep is a mini version, possibly custom-built or modified for lighter utility or hobbyist use, the restoration process would still require the same level of attention as a full-scale classic. After the initial assessment, I began the disassembly. This is perhaps one of the most crucial phases in any restoration project. Every bolt, screw, and panel was removed carefully. The engine was delicately detached and set aside for a complete overhaul. As I pulled apart the components, I kept a keen eye on which parts could be salvaged, which needed repair, and which had to be replaced entirely. Documenting the process at this stage is critical, as it helps ensure everything can be reassembled correctly down the line. With the engine removed, I turned my focus to the chassis. Years of grime, rust, and caked-on dirt had obscured the original structure. I spent hours cleaning the chassis, using a combination of wire brushing, sanding, and degreasing techniques. This process is time-consuming but necessary to ensure a smooth, clean surface for the paint to adhere to. During this cleaning, I inspected the frame for any structural weaknesses or cracks. The goal was to ensure that when the engine was reinstalled, the foundation could support it for many years to come. Meanwhile, the body panels were being prepared for spraying. Paint prep is one of the most labor-intensive aspects of vehicle renovation. The old paint had to be completely stripped down, and every dent or imperfection smoothed out. I used sanders, filler, and primer to get the panels to an ideal condition. The goal was to not just repaint the body but to restore its form, smooth, symmetrical, and clean, just as it might have looked rolling off a lot in 1960. One of the most exciting aspects of a project like this is selecting the new paint color. For this build, I wanted a classic look that honored the Willys' roots while still giving it a refreshed feel. The body, once cleaned and primed, was sprayed with the first coat, and already, it began to transform. The dull, rusty panels began to gleam, hinting at the beauty this vehicle once held and would soon hold again. While the body and chassis were drying, I turned my attention back to the engine. The 150cc engine is small but mighty. It provides just enough power for a mini Jeep like this and is easy enough to work on with basic tools and a little patience. I disassembled the engine completely, checking the pistons, cylinder walls, valves, and timing components. Each piece was cleaned thoroughly, any worn-out parts were replaced, and the engine was reassembled with new gaskets, spark plugs, and filters. Once rebuilt, the engine was tested on a stand to ensure it fired correctly and maintained compression. Transmission and gear system maintenance also played a crucial role. The 3-speed gearbox and reverse gear system needed inspection. The gear teeth were examined for wear, and the clutch plates were inspected and replaced as necessary. Lubricants were refreshed, and seals were installed to prevent leaks. While a 150cc mini Jeep doesn't require high-speed performance, ensuring smooth gear changes is essential for both safety and comfort. After the engine and transmission work, I returned to the now-dried chassis. A fresh coat of high-quality protective paint was applied. I used a rust-resistant chassis black that not only protects the metal from future corrosion but also gives it a clean, polished look. The contrast between the newly painted chassis and the previously rusted frame was night and day. It's incredibly satisfying to see such a transformation take place. Next, I reinstalled the engine back into the chassis. This moment marks a significant milestone in any build, bringing the heart back to the vehicle. It requires precision to align the mounts, connect the fuel lines, and secure the exhaust properly. Electrical connections were made with care, and all wires were neatly routed to avoid future maintenance hassles. Once the engine was mounted, it was time to fire it again inside the body to ensure everything ran smoothly in its new home. Attention was also paid to the suspension and braking systems. Although small, the Willys needed reliable performance. New brake lines were installed, the master cylinder was checked, and brake pads were replaced. The suspension received new bushings and a light lift to give it a bit more road clearance, enhancing its classic off-road stance. While this video mainly focuses on the engine removal, body preparation, and chassis cleaning, it sets the stage for the next phases: full painting, reassembly, interior work, and test drives. Restoring a classic car is a journey of patience, skill, and dedication. Every bolt tightened and every surface polished brings you one step closer to reviving a piece of history. Beyond the mechanical and aesthetic work, there's a deeper story being told. This Willys was more than just a vehicle, it represents a time when things were built to last. Restoring it honors that legacy. It's about breathing new life into old metal, honoring craftsmanship, and making something meaningful again. There's a satisfaction that comes from doing the work yourself, turning wrenches, scraping rust, choosing the right paint, and hearing the engine roar to life after years of silence. Each step is a lesson, sometimes challenging, sometimes frustrating, but always rewarding. Whether you're a car enthusiast or just someone who appreciates the process of transformation, I hope this restoration journey inspires you to take on your own projects, preserve history, and maybe even get your hands a little greasy. Thank you for watching this video and supporting the build. Your comments, suggestions, and encouragement mean the world. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to follow the next chapters of this Willys Jeep restoration. There's much more to come: interior upgrades, lighting installations, test drives, and maybe even some off-road adventures. Until then, keep creating, keep restoring, and keep the classics alive.